Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we're taking a look at the latest news coming out of a couple of rumors. The first one being the captain of the Philadelphia Flyers, Claude Giroux. Are these his final days in Philly? We're also looking at the Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets may be in for a pretty big trade deadline once again, as they seem like they are ready to be selling at this year's trade deadline. So we'll be going over all of that in today's video. So we're going to start off with the stuff in Columbus. So the Columbus Blue Jackets, three names in particular have been mentioned over the past couple of months. And we may be seeing a trade sooner rather than later with these three individual players. The first one being goaltender Joonas Korpisalo. It kind of seems like last offseason, the Columbus Blue Jackets had already kind of made up their mind that it's going to be Elvis Merzlikins moving forward, which kind of leaves Joonas Korpisalo as the odd man out. And there's been a lot of talk that Korpisalo could have got traded this offseason. Obviously, everything that happened with Matiss Kivlenieks and his passing away kind of made it an urgent situation where they kind of needed their backup, which is Korpisalo, to stick around. And it kind of changed the plans for the Blue Jackets. And Korpisalo has had a really rough season for the Blue Jackets. I do kind of feel bad for Korpisalo. It has been a rough 2021-2022 season for him. He's played in 11 games. He's only won 3 of those 11 games. His goals against average is almost 4 goals per game and a .885 save percentage. That is well below his .904 save percentage over his NHL career. The Finnish goaltender, he's 27 years old, and he's a pending UFA, which, especially with how this season has gone, you could assume he's probably going to be a backup somewhere moving forward. There's a couple teams I think would be interested in Joonas Korpisalo. The Buffalo Sabres I have on the list, but I see the Buffalo Sabres as more of a, if he gets to free agency kind of guy. If he ends up July 1st or whatever it is, whenever the free agency period starts this summer, if he is a free agent and the Buffalo Sabres are willing to give the money, I could see Joonas Korpisalo going to the Sabres. With that said, though, two teams at the deadline that I think would be good in terms of adding him as a rental. I think the Anaheim Ducks, I think they see themselves as a potential playoff team here. And if you have a good backup behind John Gibson, and it's nothing against Anthony Stolarz, but you add a guy like Korpisalo as a backup, I think that would be a much improved upgrade for the Anaheim Ducks. But the Edmonton Oilers are my top candidate here because I don't know their situation on Anton Khudobin. I kind of see it as, well, they didn't go after Anton Khudobin in the beginning of the season or, in the preseason when he was really available. So what has changed since then? Obviously, they aren't that high on him. Maybe they're looking at Joonas Korpisalo. They're kind of, there was a lot of talk last year. The Oilers were kind of waiting to see what the Blue Jackets were going to do, if they were going to go with Merzlikins or Korpisalo. Maybe they really like Korpisalo, and they could find their solution there. So that's something to keep an eye on. Jack Roslovic is another name from the Blue Jackets. It's so frustrating because Roslovic finally seemed like he was going to get, at the very least, second, third line minutes on the Blue Jackets, and it seems like he has been buried on the fourth line this year under their new coaching staff. So that's kind of frustrating for Roslovic. He's in his hometown in Columbus, Ohio. He was traded here earlier this year, a big piece in that Patrick Laine, Pierre-Luc Dubois trade going to the Blue Jackets. He's 24 years old. And like I said, he's not playing enough, and I think he realizes even though he's in his hometown and everything looked really good in 2021 in Columbus, things have quickly fallen off the rails with new head coach Brad Larson, and it just seems like it's not going to work out long-term there. And he is a pending UFA, probably going to see him sign elsewhere. 3 teams that I think would be interested in him. We have the St. Louis Blues, I think, are a mild team to keep an eye on just to add some more depth to their lineup. The New York Rangers, I think, are an interesting team, especially with Sammy Blais out of the lineup. Jack Roslovic could jump in there and add some depth, and he adds that little bit of grit. And then the Minnesota Wild, I think, are an interesting team. If they see him potentially as a top 6 center, he could kind of be that guy that they didn't get in Christian Dvorak, but getting him as a rental here at the deadline just to add some more center depth to their roster. I think that would definitely be interesting for the Minnesota Wild. I have them as my favorite at this point to land a guy like Jack Roslovic. Now, moving on to the Max Domi situation. This has been well discussed really over the past year. Max Domi has not been too pleased with his situation in Columbus, and he is a pending UFA. You can expect him, after his $5.3 million are paid this July, he will be a UFA heading into the open market. He's still 26 years old, though, and there's still some people that may believe he's still just getting into his prime. Maybe he has a little bit left to give. He was traded to the Blue Jackets back from the Montreal Canadiens back in the fall of 2020. A third-round pick in Max Domi going to the Columbus Blue Jackets in exchange for Josh Anderson. So we'll kind of see how that plays out moving forward. Two teams that I think would be interested in Max Domi. You've heard of one of these teams already. I think the New York Rangers would definitely be a player for a guy like Max Domi. And the Penguins, you want to add a little bit of truculence and size, but can score some goals. Maybe the Pittsburgh Penguins take a look at a guy like Max Domi just to add some of that, a little bit of grit and sandpaper in front of the net. The kind of guy they lost in Brandon Tanev when he was sent to the expansion Seattle Kraken. Now, kind of following up with Pennsylvania, I'm wearing their jersey today. Guys, we have to talk about this. The captain of the Philadelphia Flyers, Claude Giroux. He's been with the Philadelphia Flyers for 15 seasons, and it sounds like, as he becomes a pending UFA this summer, that these are the waning days for Claude Giroux in a Philadelphia Flyers sweater, as it sounds more likely than not the Flyers will trade the rights and inevitably the rest of Claude Giroux's legacy in Philadelphia. As this is the rumor from the Jeff Merrick Show from Elliot Friedman. I would bet that Claude Giroux gets traded. I just think they have to figure out between him and them where he's going to go. I'm sure there's going to be interest. I just think it's a matter of where they decide that's going to be. And this was also a follow-up. Friedman says that he would bet that the Flyers will end up trading forward Claude Giroux. So that is been talked about in the rumor mills. This is a guy that has been very good in his NHL career. And you look at where he sits in the Flyers organization. This is a class act player. He's been playing for the Flyers since 2007. He made his NHL debut with the Flyers. So this would definitely be a heart and soul guy leaving the organization. He signed a contract back in 2014, an 8-year, $66.2 million contract, and he has a no-move clause, so he does have some say in where he goes. But this definitely hurts, I think, for Flyers fans and for Giroux as a player and a person. This is going to be a rough one to go through here over the next couple of weeks and months. This is a guy that consistently can give you, at where he's at now, he's not where he used to be. He can still give you 40 to 50 points per season. And you look at right now, I think he has 29 points in 32 games. He is a gamer, and at 33 years old, still has a lot to give to the Philadelphia Flyers organization. But unfortunately, the salary cap is kind of caught up with the Flyers, and you look at some of the guys they're paying right now: Cam Atkinson, Scott Laughton, Joel Farabee, James Van Riemsdyk, Kevin Hayes, Oscar Lindblom, and some of the guys they're going to be paying over the next couple of years, guys like Morgan Frost. They're just not going to have the salary cap space to get Giroux back, unfortunately. And again, at 33 years old, you're kind of looking at the other side of the hill for the next couple of years for Giroux, and it kind of seems like he's more likely than not on his way out. Now, there's a couple of teams that I think will be interested in Claude Giroux. He'll have plenty of suitors. The Minnesota Wild seem like a really good fit for Giroux if he wants to stay in the States. Minnesota is desperately looking for another winger or another center to play alongside, those top guys in the top six, guys like Fiala or Kaprizov. He could fit in well, really nicely there. Jordan Greenway, those kind of guys. The Anaheim Ducks, the Ducks don't necessarily need a center. They've got a couple already: Isaac Lundestrom, Trevor Zegras, Adam Henrique, Troy Terry can play center. All those guys. This is Getzlaff. They got a lot going on. So he could be a guy that can play center or wing. He's really played more wing over the past couple of years in Philadelphia. So he could be a really nice winger, a veteran guy that can score goals to add some depth to the Ducks if they want to make the playoffs this year. He could be a really nice add there. And then the Calgary Flames, I think, could be in the running as well. Again, he could fit really nicely along the wing with a guy like Sean Monahan on the second line. I think a guy like Giroux could really add a nice punch and nice veteran presence to that Calgary Flames team. And my favorite, really, I like all the teams that I have here, but the most, guys, his name is freaking Claude Giroux. You know where he's from. The Montreal Canadiens absolutely have to be a player here for Giroux. And this could be an interesting, really couple of months here for the Montreal Canadiens, as there are three, francophones coming into the free agency coming into 2022. One of them being Claude Giroux, Patrice Bergeron, and Chris Letang. Potentially even Marc-Andre Fleury if you want to add the fourth francophone. Claude Giroux could definitely be a guy for the Montreal Canadiens. I see that more as a summer move, as the Montreal Canadiens probably not thinking playoffs right now and not as a rental guy that they want to bring in. But Claude Giroux, for certain, is definitely going to look at the Montreal Canadiens as a place that he wants to go to moving forward. So guys, that is it for today's video. If you guys like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL and more videos just like this one, you guys know what to do. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe down below. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you again next time.